Let's call this meeting order. This is Ware County Board of Commissioners public hearing. And before we start, I'm going to ask Mr. Burse if he would lead us in prayer.
Yes. Lord, we thank you, O God, for this day. We pray, God, you will bless us, O God, that we deliberate the business of this county. We ask, God, you will look upon the inhabitants of this county and this city. And Father, we just ask, God, you will just give us the right decision to make and give us the wisdom to make those decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, let's do a roll call. Mr. Burse.
Present.
Mr. Tindall.
Here.
Mr. Lucas. Here. Mr. Cox.
Here.
The chair's here. Okay. This public hearing is, we got an item on the House Bill 581, adjusted base year ad valorem homestead exemption. And the purpose of this public hearing is to educate the public and hear public comments regarding the Ware County Board of Commissioners' intent to opt out of the statewide adjusted base year ad valorem homestead exemption for Ware County. Now, Roger, would you please come up and explain, get it started off? I read it. I think maybe everybody understands what it's all about. I hope they are. But if y'all got any questions, we'll get to that. But I'm gonna let Roger kind of tell us a little bit about what this is all about.
Okay. Good
evening.
Chairman.
How
you doing?
HB 581 is advantageous to taxpayers in counties that have the state regular homestead. Clinch County, Coffee County, Atkinson, that's just the three that's right here I know that borders us. Brantley has a freeze now. Pierce County has a freeze now. But we have a freeze, we have a county freeze, we have a school freeze, and we have a city freeze. And there's 30 counties in the state of Georgia that has freezes. We're one of the few that has all three. There, I want to say is Columbus. Well, Columbus is actually the only other one I know of that everything is got a freeze. So 581 is not advantageous to the taxpayers of Ware County. Ware County's freeze is. That means if they go in, say they come into the office between January 1st and April 1st, that's the time frame they can sign up for homestead. They come in and they can sign up for homestead, and they agree upon a value with the assessors, and they set the value. They are forever taxed on that value, regardless of the increase in fair market value. It doesn't matter if, say, it can go up 50,000, it can go up 100,000, it can go up 500,000. They're going to be taxed on the frozen amount. The taxpayers that's already have the homestead, they're paying taxes on low amounts, and they're doing it by the year when they sign up for homestead. The counties was passed in 2001 by the state legislature when Representative Boggs was in. It went in effect 2008. The city and the school, theirs was passed in 2007 by the state legislature when Mark Hatfield was the representative, and it went in effect in 2008. So that gave, when the county done the freeze, the assessors had to keep track of two numbers, two fair market value numbers. They keep a value of the current fair market value and a fair market value that they're paying, they froze it at homestead, because the difference is an exemption. And that's the reason why people's taxes keep going down. They see there's an exempt amount, and it keeps increasing as our values increase. That exemption amount increases the same amount. So in 2008, when the city and the school went in, that made the assessors have to keep track of three. They have to keep track of the county, because it was done in 2001 and it was effective 2002. They got to keep track of the school if they're in, say the county and school if they're county residents, county, school, and city if they are city residents. And they got to keep track of the normal, of the real fair market value. Every year that their real fair market value will increase, their exemptions will increase. And I mean, it's just a math deal. There's no reason for our assessors to have to keep track of a fourth number when it will never, ever benefit taxpayers of Ware County at all. I know I was questioned about the, what was that? I was questioned about the floss, the floating local option sales tax. So I'm going to read an email that I sent off, what I sent off, and then I'm going to read the replies that I got. I sent one to Kenny Colson. He's with the Department of Revenue. And I stated, we talked several weeks ago about the situation in Ware County, HB 581. You know, normally if counties opt out or a city opts out, or what, that just kills the floating local home option sales tax, because that's designed to roll back property taxes as the loss is. So I told him several weeks ago, we was talking about the situation where County HB 581, and I said, it's my understanding that if Ware County government and the city of Waycross government were to opt out of HB 581, they would still be eligible for the floss. I said, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't, but Ware County had a homestead freeze enacted in 2001 by then House Representative Boggs, in 2007 by House Representative Hatfield. In 2007, House Representative Hatfield had the city of Waycross and Ware County school system freeze enacted. Am I correct with the floss and the two governments opting out of 581? I would greatly appreciate y'all's response. Now I sent that to him, and I sent that to Dante Handel of ACCG. So I'm going to read Kenny Colson's reply. He said, good morning, Roger. My apologies for the late reply. We have been inundated with legislature requests. When it comes to sales tax matters related to 581, I defer to Dante Handel and ACCG and the GMA for expanded expertise and guidance on sales tax option in relation to 581. But here's what I think. As long as the county and the cities have a floating or frozen homestead with no age or income restrictions, which we don't, we have no restrictions on anything with the freeze, meaning it would be the same as applying for the standard homestead exemption, then it sounds like they would still be eligible for the floss. The school exemption does not matter in this case. I recommend further consultation with ACCG. That was from Kitty Colson. Dante Handel replied, good afternoon, Roger. This is copied from HB 581. The county, as well as every city within the county that levies a property tax, must all have a floating homestead exemption or freeze in effect to be eligible for floss. The language from the bill is below. Subsection D/1. As a condition precedent to the issuance of the call for the referendum, the government authority of the county whose geographical boundary is I ain't never heard that word. With that special district and the governing authorities of all municipalities that level an ad valorem tax on the property other than those municipalities that are excluded from the special district pursuant to paragraph 3 of this subsection shall have in effect a base year value or adjusted base year value homestead exemption. And it says your county has a freeze, which is the base year value exemption highlighted above. If you opt out of 581, you retain floss eligibility from the county's perspective. And he was saying on the county, but that goes for the city as well. So we are still eligible for everything with that, but we do not have to track that fourth number and do more work when it's unnecessary. There's been a lot of misinformation going on. One is that HB 581, if you opt out, we're going to take away that exemption for the personal property, and that's not true. That's HB 808. That's raised the personal property exemption from $7,500 to $20,000. That's in effect, and that's all. What the issue is, it says this Article 581, which is something totally different, and people are getting that misconstrued. The other thing is, people are saying that y'all are opting out to raise taxes and all that. And that's not true either. So to opt out, it just means that they don't have to keep track of this number. For y'all to raise taxes, you have to have a millage rate that's above the rollback rate. And then you have to advertise. Like you doing now for these hearings for 581, you have to do increased tax hearings. This has no bearing whatsoever on the county, the city, or the school raising the taxes. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that. This does not have anything to do with that. And the floss, the floating local option sales tax, if the people agree to it and they pass it, if the county and the city decides to do, y'all can do it from a half a penny up to a penny max, and that's it. But that rolls back off the property taxes. And I already said, if it was already in effect, the 1 penny, the county's millage rate that y'all would have eventually passed would have been 6.9 something instead of 11.736. The city, they would have passed a less than 1 mil. Theirs dropped out to less than 1 mil on the property tax, if that was. And that would go across the board to everybody. Commercial, the real estate investors, the industrial, large acre tracts, small acre, everything gets those lower, gets the credit for that. So, I mean, I'm here if y'all want to ask me questions, you can. Honestly, if people here, they want to ask questions, they can. I'm here for them all.
Roger, I'd like to ask one. I don't know if we stay in, we've got to track all of these things. I believe what I heard you say, that we would have to track these things on every one of them, even the school, the ones that's frozen, the homestead, and all the other properties.
You'll have to keep
It
track.
all has to be separated, so it's gonna take, what you're saying is it's gonna take more people.
It's gonna
It's
take
gonna
more
cost the
people.
county more money.
Yes.
More
Okay.
people,
I just
more
wanted to-
computers.
If that's all I need to know. It's just gonna be more work, but we ain't gonna
And you're not-
gain
not gonna
anything
gain a thing.
opt in or out.
That's-
Okay, that's all now, anybody else?
Well, if you hire new people, then you gotta train them, and then you gotta buy equipment for them,
More expense.
a lot more expense.
And you
not
got,
gaining nothing from
the
it.
thing with the appraisers, they have to be certified.
Yeah.
So when they go to training, they can go to training, that don't mean that they're certified. They have to then pass a test, a state given test, to be certified as an appraiser one, before they can even go and appraise anybody's stuff. But, I mean, it's just gonna be more work for no reason.
Okay.
So, can I ask?
All
a
right,
question?
yeah,
Roger, so if we opt out, we're still gonna have a floss?
Yes, we're still eligible for the loss.
So how do you do that?
So the county and the city will have to work together and determine how they would want to split it. And then once they agree on that, they would end up putting for a referendum, and the citizens of Ware County would vote.
Okay.
but it'll still have to go before an elected, I mean, we'll have to
Yeah,
vote on it,
that's
and
what
the
I'm saying.
people,
It'll have to go,
it'd have to be voted in.
Y'all have to work out the semantics of the split. How would y'all want that split? Who gets what percentage?
But if
And
you've
then-
done that, then there'll be even more rollback on the millage rate, because
Yeah.
that's gonna offset.
Yes, so the rollback rate will be, so the rollback rate that we done this year, 11.73, that will be that's the rate we use for 24. 25, we're gonna use inflationary growth, that I get from the assessors. And I put everything in the formula into a spreadsheet, and it automatically calculates that. So that's going to give a rollback rate. And then the commission, the city commission, they have to do what they want, where they want to see it, where they want to be at. And then I would then take the sales tax and use that as a rollback. So the rollback, say it went from 11.7 down to 10.9, and there's sales tax in it. The amount that I roll back coming off of the gross, it'll also come off the bottom. So it'll go from 10 down to whatever that sales tax will be. This year it was 4.757 mils rolled back. So just say if it was this year, that was 4.757, that would be rolled off 11.7. That's what takes it down to a 6.9. So they'll have a lower property tax.
And the sales tax, you've got everybody paying that, not just the property.
Right, everybody's paying that, and everybody's getting the exemption.
Right.
Everybody gets the exemption on the tax bill. So, if you got an orchard, don't matter what you're growing, and you got a tax bill and it's, well, you can, if you got your copy of your tax bill, you can say your gross is $7,000, and it'll say there's a rollback on your county portion, sales tax rollback. That'll be, just a round number, just say 200. So that puts it at 68. Well, then there's another 200 that'll come off the bottom. So they end up being 66 that you end up paying. Just on the county, that's just on the county part.
Right.
So you get the exemption both in two ways, off the top and off the bottom. And really, the county, and the city with sales tax, they get their money sooner than
Every month.
wait until
Yeah.
till August through November to get it through the tax bill. And everybody's paying it, and everybody's reaping rewards.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lane.
Yeah, Roger, I appreciate, you explained it like you've done from the beginning since the inception of this House Bill 581. And I've been to, I don't know, 2 or 3 Zoom meetings on 581. I also been in person in Athens. I think Commissioner Lucas was there also about this 581. And I got all kind of stuff that I downloaded and, you know, anything I can find out pertinent to 581. And the consensus with everyone is that we have the best thing right now, that this was not designed for us. The only thing that I had, and I kept questioning with Roger about it, and he got it today, was it kind of left a area in there that I wasn't comfortable with. All I wanted to find out, if we opt out, will we be eligible to put a referendum on for the floss tax?
Yeah.
Because it was kind of cloudy there, you know, and I didn't want to do something that would prevent us from being able to do that. That was my biggest concern, and you kind of allayed that concern I had today with this letter right here. Now, this is from ACCG,
Yes.
okay, which is our arm of, you know, local government. Who was the other gentleman you said it?
Kenny Colson,
Now, who is he?
Department of Revenue.
Now, his answer wasn't quite as clear.
Okay, so he works for the Department of Revenue. They never give us a clear, because they don't want, he does not want to get the impression whether he's telling us to opt out or stay in. That, because he's a state employee. And that's everybody at the state where they stand. But as I stated before, I was in a meeting with the Department of Revenue Commissioner, ACCG, Clint Mueller was there. The GMA head person was there, and I don't even know their names. And the Revenue Commissioner's chief deputy and deputy chief were there, along with sales tax, the head of the sales tax, and they all said to a person that Ware County's is far and away better than anything the state is. We would be crazy not to opt out.
Okay. And also, now, this is something else I've been seeing that kind of bothers me also, that some representatives are wanting to try to make it mandatory that we opt in. In other words, don't give you that option. And what I can't understand is why would you create a bill and give a choice, and now you're coming back and saying, well, I mean, some of them are saying, well,
Yeah,
almost like mandating that you opt in.
yeah.
It just, that's the thing that bothers me about that.
Well,
They're moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one, the reason is they don't understand everything about it. They don't. They assume what they pass is good for everybody. But it's not good for 30 counties, because what we have is better. So their assumption is wrong. And the senator that is, like I said, he's bent on doing local legislation, because the two school systems that he's representing are opting out. Now, the local governments are not, but almost all the schools statewide are opting out. They're opting out. Ours has a freeze, so that doesn't matter with them opting out. But what it does is, and they're advertising that they're gonna lose millions of dollars by opting in, and they're not. But they don't have freezes, but they're not gonna lose millions of dollars, taxable dollars, by opting in. They're not gonna lose money.
And you know, one of the things that, and I put the way I wrap my head around after I keep reading all this stuff, to make it simple the way I could understand it. Okay, we opt out. That gives us the ability to at least put a referendum on. Whether it passes or not, that's up to the voters.
Yeah.
But if it passes, that money will go basically into a pot that's for tax reduction only. It'll be just like our SPLOST tax now, what we have with the SPLOST tax.
Lost.
Well, I'm saying, with the SPLOST tax, what I'm saying is, you may have different projects that you're gonna have.
Yeah,
But with this FLOSS tax, it will be earmarked for tax
strictly
reduction.
it's strictly for property taxes.
And I think, our finance director hit on the key point back there. And it's not that just a citizen of Ware County, but you got people that's coming in just like with the SPOS tax.
Yes,
That's helping to offset this. And so it's a win-win for the property owners, you know, to get a reduction because anybody know, you know, hey, if you paid your taxes already, you know, it gets costly.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. And, I do want to say that because I mean, the school, they had their millage rate at 14 because they would lose $12.5 million. And, you know, I was telling you about Senator Goodman and I was talking about it. He said a bill has dropped, a Senate bill has dropped, where they're trying to change that from 14 mills, they can go as low as 10 without losing their QBE funding. So that would afford the school system to continue roll back until they get to 10.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Lucas.
I'm like Commissioner Burris, gotta get my head wrapped around it real good, Roger. But this floating tax you're talking about?
Yes,
If the voters vote for it, now that's a floating tax on everything. I mean, that's gas, that's food, that's,
yeah.
Sales tax.
So it's everything
I
else.
believe
Sales tax.
whatever we receive the lost on is what's taxed.
lost is on everything.
It's what's taxed. I don't know about grocery store, I don't know how all that works.
But what
What's
I'm,
taxed, but the normal, what you pay normal sales tax on, you're paying 8%, it'll be 9%, but you're gonna have a tremendous drop in property taxes.
but then also everybody that comes in and they work in this county and they buy gas in this county and do, all that money goes in the same pot.
Yes,
So inevitability, we're actually gonna get basically a whole penny back for us that live here because we'll have two instead of one drawing and both dumping in the same pot. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because we end up paying 60% off the splost and we end up, or lost, and we end up paying, 60% off the floating, then that's basically 120% that's gonna be going back into our kitty, split between Ware County citizens,
yeah,
city, county, and the school. It's gonna be going to our citizens and not going back to those counties.
and it'll be roughly, just roughly $10 million for the first year.
And that's 10 million split between all the taxpayers.
That's the operating account, that's the general
It'll
government.
go in
operating
Yeah, that's the M&O, that's off your
M&O, okay. And then after that's when we start getting deductions from our homes and, right?
We rolled back 4
Yeah.
mills, is that correct?
We
Somewhere
rolled
around
back
4 mills.
We had 4.757 rolled back this
This
year.
year.
Is what it rolled back, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
this year.
First time we've ever rolled back that kind of amount.
No, the loss is done every year. That's done every year. But, the rollback, you had a big rollback rate from where he was the year before to this year for the revals.
Okay,
And, you know, you through?
yes, sir.
Okay, and I talked with you about this, Roger, I guess maybe even today. The only thing I just don't want to happen is whenever they did the regional T-Splosh, they led the cities and the counties down the path that, hey, you could, basically like you can opt out of it, go at it by yourself. You won't have to come into it. Well, that didn't work out that way. When they come back and say, well, now, you gonna come in here, whether you come kicking and screaming, you gonna come and you gonna pay this other penny. So we will have the distinction, which was not a good one, of being the highest tax county, I believe, in Georgia. So I just don't want them to say, okay, and that's why I know you have this here, and we opt out, and then come back and say, well, you know what, since y'all opt out, y'all can't even apply for this flaw. I don't
Well,
want that to happen.
Commissioner Burris, for them to change that, they have to, have to be a voted on constitutional amendment because this was voted on by the people of the state of Georgia. Constitution to allow, it was for the homestead and to allow the local governments to opt out. So they can't just arbitrarily change it and it goes into effect. It's gonna have to be changed and they're gonna have to sell it to the people and put it back on the
Ballot.
ballot and have a constitutional amendment change.
Well, I hope
Does
that's.
does that mean even what the senator out of Rome is trying to do?
Well, I'm gonna talk to him. I understand his point that, well, one, the school system, they're saying stuff that's not true.
Right.
But he assumes that that bill's good for every county, it's not. It's not better than our cities, for what we got.
So let me ask you, the revenue that we would get from, let's just say we didn't have the floss and the revenue that we were gonna be getting, that compared to what we would be getting if we had the floss, is that just gonna be like 1-to-1?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same. So if we don't get the floss, the taxpayers are gonna have the burden.
The full amount like we've got right now.
To pay the full amount, but in accordance with what the millage rate is that year.
Right. So neither way is gonna get us any more money as far as into our
Right.
general fund,
No.
our revenues.
No,
No.
not,
So it's just gonna be 1-to-1, that's what I was
Yeah,
kind of
the
wondering.
only way you'll get more revenue in your general fund is if you have new construction, new sales, new businesses, and new stuff. The existing stuff that has been revalved and all that, that's where the millage rate drops, because that millage rate is designed to get you the amount of taxes you've had the year before.
Roger, another thing that I've had thrown on me a lot of times is, well, we voted for it.
Yes,
Why are you wanting us to not have it? Taxpayers, and they saying that a lot to me. Where we voted for it,
I understand.
Well,
I voted for it.
why
I
are we
voted
gonna
for it.
vote against it? I mean, now we're gonna get up here and opt out of it.
Right.
I mean,
But
that's a
the
question
reason-
that needs to be cleared up, and I don't know how you clear it. with
Well, the
public.
reason that I recommended opting out is because our freeze is better than anything that they can do. And it's not going to affect us. The difference is, if I was in Atkinson County, I'd be raising Sandsville trying to opt out. Because I'm a taxpayer just like everybody else. I want to pay my fair share and only my fair share. I don't want to pay anybody else's. And I want to do what's right. And that's the way I'm recommend. I'm looking at everybody in the county, the taxes, the fair market value, the homestead. Your homestead freeze is always going to be better. And there's no sense in putting more work on our assessors when it does not help our citizens. It helps other counties. And that's the reason why I voted for it. I knew it was not going to help ours at all.
You voted against it.
Mr. Chairman.
No, I voted for the
He voted
581.
for it the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
I voted for it, but, I mean, the majority of the people is gonna vote for an exemption.
Yeah.
We're not taking away the exemption, we're just taking away that state deal, what they want us to do, which is nothing close to what we already have.
Okay. Commissioner Cox, you got
Okay.
something?
First of all, I appreciate you helping me understand it more, because the more I read, the more confused I got. But the only concern I had is I think 70% of the people voted for it,
Yes,
but I feel like they wasn't educated like I wasn't, and if this ever happens again, I would like to see if we can educate people on it before we,
yeah,
get this far along, and, cause I wanna do what's right for the taxpayers,
right, and I do too, and that's the reason why I'm recommending opt out,
Okay.
because it's the best thing for us. It's the best for the county, and it's the best for the taxpayers.
And if we put the floating one on there, the citizens gonna vote for that anyway, right? It's nothing that we're gonna vote for.
Well, the citizens, the Ware County citizens will have to vote for floss.
Just
Right.
be up
If they
to the
want
citizens.
that additional sales tax.
Right.
To come off their property taxes.
And then we would approve.
And that's
it.
gonna have to be educated too.
Right.
So,
And I like that when it comes to the citizens vote for it, then we implement it. But I also like the fact, just like the splost and the lost, 60% of it's paid by the county's citizens that come here to work, they come here
Yeah.
to eat, they come here to buy gas and groceries. And that takes another tax burden off our citizens.
right.
So I think, there's something else our citizens could win from. It's just a win for them.
Yeah.
you know, and I would be for it, but they're gonna have to vote on it.
And
Thank you.
Roger, just one thing, could you do me a favor? You said you were gonna speak to the gentleman that's trying to put the legislation back together or whatever.
Yes,
If you could do me a favor, when you do speak with him, if he's determined to put this in there and change it and everything, maybe you could convince him to put the wording in there, it says, except for counties that already have a freeze.
Yeah,
Because I agree that this freeze, this 581 is good for most counties, but not for 30 of them, like you said.
Right.
So for 129 counties, we're good. It would be great. But for the 30 that already have a freeze, it's not gonna be good for them. It's just gonna cause us more work, more expense with employees, equipment,
yeah.
all that stuff. So maybe you could convince him to, if he's gonna do that, put the wording in there that it would be like, except for the counties that already have a freeze or floating.
and one other thing, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Burris?
and it's something else in there, and I think he alluded to it just a little bit there about if you opt in, other words, now the exemption gonna be based on the consumer price index or the inflation, however you wanna put it. So, and you don't ever know, but we know what we have now. But start talking about the consumer price index or inflation.
Well, what they're gonna do is, the base year, for 25, for this year, is last year 24's values. That's their base year. So it's not gonna affect, they're not gonna, what they ended up telling us, that there was not gonna give us an index for this year. 26, it's gonna be the base year plus the the CPU index. So that can be 3.6%. That's the maximum that they can tax off the fair market value. So, and that goes into a lot of tracking stuff.
Yeah, yes,
But if you go in on loss, eggs might not stay at $8 a
that's
dozen.
right.
Yeah,
Well, and I think Commissioner Cox made a good point there about whenever they come out with this bill, it was just, I don't know if when the people voted, if they really knew exactly. Because if you weren't informed or you wasn't educated about it, you kind of look at it and if, them referendums sometimes can be very confusing.
Yeah.
and that's the way they write them up,
And I think it's by design.
you know.
And so, like you said, and I think anytime something like this comes up, our representative or whoever needs to at least come and kind of give you a little
Educate us.
education session and say, this is what it means in layman's term.
Right.
Take out all this legalese stuff,
You're right. Okay, do we have anything from the public?
Do y'all have?
Anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?
Roger, could you explain something to me? I looked up something,
Yes.
and, on the penny sales tax thing, the floss tax,
Okay.
there's a thing in there, there's like a bucket of three buckets of exemptions. One is the E-Splosh, you spend a penny on it. One is the regional T-Splosh. And the other one, I don't understand all this, is the O-Lost, which somebody has, this other local office sales tax.
Yeah.
A C-Splosh, do you know what that is?
No, I don't. That's, so there's the OLOS, the C-SPOS, I believe there's the
Most.
most, that's, have to do with MARTA. They can't do that sales tax or something like that. There's certain ones that has special sales tax that will not be allowed to do it.
Well, we got 4% on the state,
Yep,
then we got a loss tax,
yes.
which is supposed to be for lost,
As for local option sales tax, that all comes off of property taxes.
that is to keep our property taxes low.
Yep,
Then we got a SPOS,
yep,
and we got a T-SPOS.
yep.
E-spot.
And an
And
And
E-Splosh,
then you got a regional.
And E-SPOS.
So if you add that.
regional
SPOS,
T-Splosh.
We'll be at
We
9%.
don't collect that.
And it's a 5-year,
Commitment.
commitment, yeah. And I guarantee you, if it goes into effect, I don't see anybody complaining except for people who don't own anything.
Well, in my case, for instance, with my taxes, and I can only speak for mine, if you put another 1 cent sales tax on it, you say, well, it's gonna roll back my millage rate. But from the math I've seen on it, because I got $165 off on my taxes because of that rollback you did. If you put another cent tax on me, I'm gonna spend $150 to $200,000, I know, $15,000 to $20,000 a year. So I'm gonna spend $150 to $200 with the sales tax. So it's not gonna affect me either way too much, a few dollars here or there.
Yeah.
Now, the other people I don't know about. I mean, we already got the loss because of that, and then we got the SPOS, and the T-SPOS, and the E-SPOS, and I'm just tired of loss.
Well, I understand, but I will honestly say this, the fairest tax is the sales tax, because you get everybody paying it, you have everybody paying it. But the end result will be less property taxes for everybody. Yes, sir.
Okay, Gary?
If you do the referendum on the new 1 cent, can you word that where, say, food items would be left off? Or is that not an option?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's gonna be, that's commissions and the city.
It just seems to me it's
I don't know.
unfair to tax food.
I don't know how the sales tax is done with the groceries and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
okay, well,
Because,
that would be my question.
yeah, the only thing I usually deal with sales tax is the loss I have to deal with every year. And occasionally I collect sales tax on vehicles or trailers or something that was not collected, or mobile homes.
Okay.
But where it goes, how it's, I don't know. That's out of my purview.
How would we go about getting the answer to that question?
I can reach out to, a person who says that, yeah. Yep. I can do that.
Roger.
Okay.
So it says here, somebody asked a question, are groceries taxable in Georgia? No, most groceries are exempt from Georgia sales tax.
Most groceries are, but everything at a grocery store is not.
Right, prepared food is not exempt. So if you go in there to the small mart and you get a rotisserie chicken that's prepared food, it's not exempt. But
Paper
like,
plates, all this stuff.
Some of those
anything
things-
that is expendable,
right, but like milk, eggs, bread, things like that, it's exempt from sales tax,
yeah.
from Georgia sales tax. So there's already exemptions on those kind of items that already exist. And so, and it was the same thing. It was, people saying, hey, we don't want to raise the tax on people that are already burdened as it is
Right.
financially, So yeah, there's already exemptions for sales tax on food items. Most food items.
On food items, yeah.
But there's stuff like Ziploc bags, all that stuff. At a grocery store, you gotta pay taxes.
Right, because those aren't necessities.
Yeah, they're not being consumed. Any other questions for me?
Anybody else from the public? Any more questions in the public?
Roger, I just wanted to make a statement on, as far as that, the floss and putting it on the referendum and increasing our sales tax to 9% or 9 cent, whatever. Just to verify one more time, I've asked you this question probably 3 times, wanted you to verify this statement, is that whenever it was at 9 cent prior, whenever we had the T-SPLOS and the local T-SPLOS and it went up to 9 cent and everybody was raising Cain and, we're losing business. That was not true, because our lost revenue, which is just the 1 penny, was going up every single year.
Increase every year.
So there was not a decrease in spending here in Ware County based on a 9 cent sales tax. There was actually an increase in spending in Ware County, probably based on just more people coming in here, more people driving through, more people coming this way for work, those kind of things. So,
That's true.
okay, all right, good. I just wanted to verify that.
And you will check with the guy, let's say from Rome, see, and that language, if he continues to pursue.
Yeah, I
You
will. I will.
Do you?
Well, he can't, I mean, he can't impose anything in South Georgia. That's gotta come
Well,
from the people.
no, it's legislature.
Le-
So he's
legislature.
proposing,
Right.
they're up there working on legislature right now. That'll change this.
Well, our senators know how we want them to vote, so.
I agree.
So we don't think that
But
they are,
getting everybody to understand and getting them on board is a lot easier said than done. And I'm gonna leave that for there, and we can have a private conversation after.
we're not sure that they're gonna change that House bill and opt us in anyway. We
No,
don't know
no,
that.
But even if they do, I don't see them change, us being able to be changed because we have a freeze for everybody. It would be different if we just had a county freeze and the school didn't have one and the city didn't have one. But all of everybody has a freeze in place.
Sounds like he's just jealous, what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, but I can't
Part of
see,
it is, he does not know everybody's. He's not been educated. He's just worried about what's surrounding him and.
Wanting
Please
all of
take
us
it
to
out.
do it.
Yeah.
He needs to come down here and find out about Southern hospitality is what he needs to do.
well,
Well,
What you
Roger, I
got,
just
Mr.
hope,
Chairman?
and I know you will, any information that comes up, something that we need to know, because we got, what, 2 more public
we
hearings?
got two more.
So please give it to us, disseminate it to us, you know, okay?
This one seems like it's leading to opt out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know, we really, it's
But
open.
I do wanna reiterate to the taxpayers that's watching. This is not designed for the county, for the city, and for the school to get more taxes, to raise more taxes. It's not designed for that. Everything's not, 581's not, our freezes are not. So, the raise taxes on the homesteaded property, and which this is about homesteads, you would have to raise the millage rate. The county would have to raise the millage rate, the school would have to raise it, or then the city would have to raise their millage rates up above the rollback rates.
I had a question, Mr. Chairman, one question. Okay, so if a person it's on their home, just like say we did a rollback on the millage rate, that would affect all the properties that person or just their homestead?
Oh, everything.
Everybody.
Okay.
That's
That's what I'm told.
All
property in Ware County.
All that for them tax.
Oh,
We got about 22,000 parcels now, and it'll affect everything.
okay. So rental properties will be included in that, okay,
Rental, commercial,
okay.
homestead, industrial, large acre tracts, small acre tracts.
But it wasn't due to school tax, though, would it? It wasn't rolled the school tax back.
No, their freeze does that.
Theirs is already on there.
They have a freeze that does that.
That's the
But
14.
they
would
don't
have
have, they do not have, their ELOS does not roll back taxes. They're not eligible for the floss either. The schools are not.
Right.
So they won't receive anything from it.
No,
They won't receive a penny from it.
No, they won't.
this is okay.
It's just a reminder that whether you voted to opt in or opt out, either one, it still doesn't mean that automatically you get a 1 cent sales tax increase. It's still gotta go before the
Yeah.
commission to put on
Yeah.
the referendum, and the voters will still have the choice whether they want to do it. It's not an automatic,
No.
Right.
thing, so.
And honestly, I think the earliest that y'all would be able to get it on a referendum would be November.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, we can talk about it and all that, but that's the final hurdle is the voters.
That's right.
Yeah.
Citizens of Ware County, if they say, well, okay, I think this is gonna be good, and I'm gonna vote, to create this floss, vote for this floss for 1 cent, a half cent, or whatever.
Yeah,
If it was voted on in November, when do we start collecting?
January.
January.
And then it would not be used on their taxes until 27.
26 or 27.
27.
27, yeah.
But I do want to say this, just thought about it, but y'all remember a couple years ago, the state done the HCRG, they paid up to $18,000, on value of taxes, everybody's taxes. They're gonna do that again this year. So there's gonna be, in addition to rollbacks and all, they're gonna pay a portion of everybody's homestead taxes.
So not only were we raised from 7,500 to 20,000, the state's gonna put another 18,000 on top of that.
No. So that was a 7,500, 20,000 is exemption. That is, personal property, construction, anything, boats and planes, all this stuff that's considered personal property.
Four-wheelers, all that stuff.
No, not four-wheelers. They're not taxed. Not side-by-sides, they're not taxed. This is all business stuff and personal property. They're exempt, so if you have a boat and it's valued at $7,499, you don't pay taxes on it.
So it's gotta be over 7,500.
Right. So they are changing that threshold to 20,000.
Okay.
So I don't know how much is that is gonna affect our tax digest. That'll be a talk for a different day with me and Billy. But, I mean, it's just to get an idea of
Right.
what it's gonna be. But, no, that doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
What, the 18,000, what I'm talking about is, your home is valued at, say your home is valued at $100,000. You paying on $40,000. You got a home, your own homestead, that's $2,000, that's $38,000. And say it's been frozen at $38,000. They're gonna pay the tax on $18,000. So you're gonna pay the difference on $20,000.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So they will send me a check they'll have the county and the cities check the amount to me, and they'll say, this amount goes to the county, this amount goes to the city, and we'll cut those checks. But the state will pay that instead of taxpayers this year.
Good. Sounds good to me.
You know, so the governor wanting to give back like $1 billion to taxpayers.
He's done that several times since he's been in office.
He done it once. He's done that one time. He tried to give back more money, but the Constitution only allowed 18,000 instead of 22,000.
Right. And then he found that 500 million or whatever it was at one time and gave most of it back to the citizens. I don't remember how it was, but he had found some money they didn't know was there.
There's no telling.
He's been a pretty good governor.
Okay. Do we have any more comment?
Not for Roger. I just want to make a comment to the citizens out there and remind them that next week is at 6 instead of 5. Next week, our meeting is at 6 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. Okay?
Right here, next Thursday,
Next Thursday, 6 p.m.
6 o'clock, 6
and not 5.
Okay.
And if the commission's okay with it, I would say, let's remember our city commissioner who passed away last night.
So we lost the city commission.
Lost a long-term city commissioner last night. And
Well-
probably give a moment of silence for her, if that's okay.
And let's remember the ones that went down in the Potomac
Yep, gotta remember
last
them.
night.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, one of the older EMS directors passed away yesterday too. He was, Mark Walker.
Yeah.
Goodness, I didn't know that.
Okay.
We'll have a moment of silence for
Let's have a
him.
moment of silence. Okay.
What date is the next?
Okay, council.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, before we move on, and I think all the questions have been answered and certainly the intent of the public hearing, but just for our minutes, I don't know that there would be anyone that would want to speak, but if you would just call to have anyone that wishes to speak for or against, just so we'll have that for the minutes, but other than that, I think we've completed the task of the day.
Okay. We asked for the public, so now, is anybody that would wanna speak against it? Anybody oppose it?
Or if anybody's for it.
But now, is anybody for it? We've heard that. Okay.
Anybody got anything else?
Any more?
Next Thursday, 6 o'clock, right?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock next Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. And no more commission comments?
No, sir.
Manager, you have anything?
No, sir, just, well, I do have one, the overpass on Albany Avenue, grade separation. Kind of get direction what way we want to go. We never decided. I spoke with the chairman today and we went out and looked. And we may want to, look at the possibility of expanding the east side a little bit so we can still try to maybe get that road, Garlington, under there, so we can veer it back on Albany or either carry it to, Brunswick Avenue, so you can cross underneath it. So that's what we kind of need some direction if we want to look at that and see what it would take to expand that. I think it's like, we're guessing 20, 30 feet, expand the bridge to get it under there. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
That's right, yeah.
So,
And
just need some direction from the commission as a whole, if we want to pursue that, to look at that and to get with engineers, or if we want to, proceed with how it's designed now.
I think he said that the cost of that bridge, what did we say, was so much, how much was it, 100 foot, 3 million?
It was $1 million per 100 feet
Three.
for bridge spans.
Yeah, $1 million
For 100 feet.
per
$1
100
million
feet.
per 100 feet
And
for
we
bridge.
talking
So
about
if we-
having about 30,
About 20, we'd probably need, see,
About
the railroad
22,
don't wanna let
25
us have that on account of that box down there. They won't give up that land where that signal box is. And they took the road out on the east side so we couldn't go under there. So if we keep it, in order to go under it, we're gonna have to come back add about 20 foot to that bridge, 20, 30 feet.
so we talking about maybe $200,000 or $300,000 more.
About 300,000.
We thinking he's gonna probably be somewhere around that, $200,000 or $300,000 if he has to move it back.
Cause it's $1 million per
I would
100
hope
foot.
that if we could, I don't know whether, I know we got the public hearing, but at some point, if maybe the manager could kind of have some kind of rendering of how, we got 2 or 3 different options we can do that as far as, what say, the pilings or the
Pilings, the retaining walls,
which
or
we know the
the,
retaining wall
slope.
gonna cost more, but,
Yeah.
and I was looking today when I was going to visit a lady that, had lost her daughter in that, wreck, but anyway, when you go over Haynes Avenue, I was looking I had a good visual, you know, going over there, how
Yes, sir.
the dirt's on the sides, and, I was talking with the manager the other day, and, we were kicking around, and with that dirt, you got the grass up there. Then you got to try to, you gotta keep on that.
Upkeep.
You know, so that's something we have to look at versus with the retaining wall, you don't have that
Right.
problem, but it's costing more.
Costs a lot.
And, you know, aesthetically, it looks prettier with the retaining wall, but it costs more.
Yeah.
So that's something I think we need to kind of, before we make the decision, we need to kind of all look at it and, you know, pictures, and like I say, I would encourage, hey, right over Haynes Avenue, you can see how it is, and then the one on Quarter Z, it's got the retaining walls there. And I think it has some slope too, on that one on Quarter Z.
It does.
It does.
Behind the credit union, right there.
So if you move that bridge, that distance, probably what you would look at is putting the retaining walls back on the end, underneath the overpass, and then angle them back so that they go this way and it catches the dirt, so that you don't have the slope under the bridge. It gives you more room to get a lane
Right,
under there, so.
which, I mean, that one on Haynes Avenue, been there a long time.
Oh, yeah.
That dirt haven't gone anywhere.
Been a long.
They put a lot, I mean, they put, on slopes like that, they'll put down textile fabric and seed it and hydro seed it, and it's a good root system pretty quick.
Yeah. That root system, now, I'm thinking might have to start growing.
Yeah, well, it's gonna grow too.
Yeah, you got,
Um,
Well, county manager said he'll take a weed eater and he'll weed eat the whole side of it.
Well, he gonna be there a while.
I'll babysit some probationers.
Okay, that was just something that we wanted to bring up, if we say, keep that road, if we building a bridge, and if you go down Quarter Z over there, Nickel Street should have been, the bridge should have come over Nickel Street, and there should have been one on the other side for traffic to go under it. And we look at that today, you can't hardly get over Quarter Z. The traffic's just as bad there as it is at the train track,
Yeah.
you know? So you can't go neither way. So if you, while you're building this thing, you might as well put a road under each side of it.
Yeah, we shouldn't cut off Garlington either way, I don't think.
No,
No.
well, Garlington got, it's in.
It's under there.
But the one on this side, where we're coming around, going back to Brunswick Avenue.
I would say we just leave it open under the bridge.
Yeah, we need to keep the bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Are y'all all in favor of that if it's within
If we're within the price range.
Right.
Yeah, and,
price range? We need to talk to the engineer and,
yeah, I would just like it if we could just kind of, I'm like a vision
We
type
need to know
person,
what
where you
it
can
costs
see
us.
exactly what we're doing, what it's gonna cost, and
Right.
if the road is
Right.
here, if it's not, then, you know, because once you do it now, it's not like you come back there and change that thing overnight, you know?
no, we can't change it.
Well, I'll try to reach out to them tomorrow and, tell them what we wanna try to look at and see what they can give us as a rendering, and maybe also a kind of a cost estimate. If you remember, we was at 4 million, we saved 4 million by removing the retaining walls. But then it reduced down to 3 million when you bought the right of way to come out 60 feet, or whatever it was. So we'll just see how that plays in, and then plays in with the total budget.
Because I think that would be good, you know, and like I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, so when you see it, you can really kind of get a good idea, you know, and go from there with it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Y'all satisfied with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All righty. Any more? Anything else from the manager?
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Council, thank you, council.
No, sir.
All right.
If it's agreeable to you all for the next two public hearings, I will probably call in, just if that's fine with you all, unless you want me here, and then we'll be glad to be here.
Oh, you got to drive.
Call away.
I don't have
I
a
think we'll
problem.
be all right.
We'll be good. We'll let y'all
Okay.
cook. Just
You'll
keep
be
it
on
straight.
conference if we
Yeah, I'll
need
call
you.
in, yeah.
Okay.
Just keep
Okay.
it straight now.
That'll be good.
Yes, sir.
I think it'll be fine. Y'all agreeable with
I
that?
agree with
sir.
that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Fine.
agreeable, okay. All righty, I hear a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All opposed.